back in the BattleTech backer beta. This time I am testing a light lance, all light mechs, taking a Commando 2D, a Locust 1V, a Jenner D, and a UrbanMech out versus an exact lance on the enemy AI side. Because it's gonna take a little bit longer than normal to get this fight going, I thought I'd talk about these mechs a little bit before we get into the actual combat. As most people know, that the UrbanMech in particular has a very limited range it can move, in particular each turn. But what my plan is here is to set the UrbanMech up into the forest area that's just in front of it, supported by the Locust and the Commando, to try to draw the enemy lance down the road in the center and get them into a kill box roughly where the two roads are converging, and then having the Jenner off to the far right flank, as the Jenner has firepower to be able to defend itself a lot better than the other three mechs, and also has the farthest range of motion. And that's the plan, and we'll see how it works out. Talking about the Jenner D, which is a light mech that works really good in other games like Mech Warrior Online. Jenner Ds have a lot of firepower, can move around in their striker role. In turn-based games, that you really kind of lose that ability, you know, kind of like the Locust in the same way, as it's turn-based. They're kind of stationary. They do something stationary, although there's movement buffs and debuffs you can get. But, you know, because it's not a continuously fluid moving game, the way you use them is a little bit different. But I'll give a little background information on some of these mechs, as some people may not be as versed as others in this. I am by no means no expert, in the information that I get for these that I'll be talking about is straight off of SarnaNet. So talking about the Commando, the original Commando was introduced by Coventry Metalworks in 2463 for the Lyran Commonwealth Armed Forces. The Commando 1A was the first mech designed for reconnaissance. The Commando 1A mounted a large laser that caused problems for the mech, and it didn't have jump jets and fell short of capabilities of other light reconnaissance mechs at the time. When the Commando 2D was introduced in 2486, it took the design to a new level. With upgraded communications gear, upgraded targeting systems, and newly mounted 4 and 6 tube SRM launchers with 1 ton of ammo each, and a medium laser, gave the Commando 2D improved reconnaissance capabilities, and actually it had a pretty heavy punch for its weight class of 25 tons. And the Commando, there's a couple special Commandos out there that even have more firepower than that, but they're not in this game. Speaking of the Locust, the LCT-1V, which is in this game, which I have in a slants, is one of the most common mechs in existence in the BattleTech universe. It has been in continuous productions by Bergen Industries since 2499. It was built exclusively for the reconnaissance and quick strike missions. But the Locust is lightly armed and, you know, just barely being able to defend itself. Its speed is its true defense. In the reconnaissance role, only mechs with jump jets outperform the Locust. The main weapon of the Locust 1V is a single medium laser in the center torso. It also has 2 machine guns, 1 in each arm, with a single ton of ammo for both weapons stored in its center torso. And when it comes to the Locust, mobility is the name of the game. As you can see right here, the Jenner, being the mech that has the largest range of motion, the enemy AI moved it completely out front unsupported, which is not a good idea, as what I'm doing with the Locust is doing a target lock on it, removing all of its movement debuffs to my targeting. And it's going to pay for that here in the next round as I engage it with the Commando and then the UrbanMech. But speaking of the Jenner was introduced in 2748 and was the sole property of the Draconis Combine. It was produced for over 50 years and used only by the Combine as a fast guerrilla fighter. Its 5 jump jets give it a good jump distance, and the 245 rated engine gives it a high top speed, making it faster than most mechs. The original model had problems though with weapon placement and a targeting system that was very buggy. These problems were solved with the introduction of the JR7D, which is in this game right now. and it had 4 medium lasers and an SRM-4 launcher with 1 ton ammo, giving the Jenner D good medium to close range punch. Having 4 energy weapon systems give it staying power in protracted fights, as ammunition is not an issue, but those 4 medium lasers only have 10 heat sinks on the Jenner, making heat management a priority, as a shutdown light mech will be a dead mech very fast. Jenner Lancers are known to gang up on larger mechs and pumping alpha strikes into them and then jumping away to cool the weapons systems down before jumping back in to complete the kill on the larger mechs before they even have a chance to defend themselves. And as you can see here, I'm trying to get a better hit percentage from the Urbie with its AC-10 on that Jenner, and I'm only going to manage to get a 60% hit percentage on the Jenner. But you'll see that when it comes to light mechs, they really are not built for stand-up fights. If you have a mech that has a high damage potential weapon like the Urbie does with its AC-10, and it takes a hit, you can see right here, 1 strike on the leg with the AC-10 and the Jenner's left leg is destroyed. Now the Jenner's crippled, and its mobility is going to be extremely limited from this point on. So speaking of the UrbanMech, the UM-R60 or Urbie, they were produced by Orgus Industries starting in 2675 until the destruction of the assembly line. It was designed for urban combat, using a cheap, easy to produce chassis and 6 tons of Duralex armor that put it on par with many medium weight mechs. Even with 2 jump jets, the Urbie is very limited in its maneuverability as it is severely underpowered. But fighting in the urban battlefield leaves very little room for maneuverability to begin with, and the Urbie's small size gives it an advantage over larger mechs who try to engage it in the urban environment. And mounting that AC-10 with 1 ton of ammo give it a heavy punch for its size. It has a small laser also, but the small laser is more for flavor than anything else. And in this game, you'll see me having to use the small laser later on. The downside to the AC-10 though is it's exposed on the right arm and easily destroyed, and the single ton of ammo will run dry very fast in any kind of prolonged fight. Hit and run is in the urban environment is the Urbie's game, and the Urbie is not an open country mech, and in the open country versus just about anything else is going to be dead very fast. Here in BattleTech in this game, you don't really suffer that penalty of not fighting in close quarters and it kind of being an open, although right here I'm going to keep it pretty much in these tree line to give it as much cover as possible to deal with these other mechs. But as you will see, here we go with the AI making dubious tactical decisions again and fighting 3-on-4, although my Jenner is out of the fight right now on purpose. But I chose to put it where it is at to try to spot where the Urbie actually is, the enemy Urbie. And with the Jenner's range of movement, I can easily, as you can see here, bring it right back into the fight to bring its weapon systems to bear. And there you go, we get a ping on the map, and now I know where the enemy AI Urbie is at. And now I know it's going to take it 3 rounds to get to the fight, maybe. And by then, hopefully, I have at least one of the AI mechs killed. And here you can see, you know, in this game, scouting, I mean, it's important to get target information, but like the Locust right there, it really doesn't have the punch to do much against anything other than another lighter mech. And that comes with, like, there's abilities and things that are not in the game yet. Like, I can't call in arrow missiles. I don't have an arrow missile targeting system on any of these mechs, which would make them extremely dangerous if you had a Locust sitting out there. I'm not sure if Locusts come with the arrow missile targeting system. I think there's versions that do, but imagine a Locust sitting out there at its maximum view range, not even seen or just a blip on the map, being able to target enemy mechs and calling in arrow missile strikes. I mean, that's incredibly powerful. I mean, that would allow a Locust to cripple an Atlas, for crying out loud. But in this game, you know, we don't have those abilities yet, and I'm sure things like that will be in the game eventually. Something else that could be useful for a light mech is maybe it has an AMS system on it, you know, an anti-missile system to deal with incoming LRMs. That is something that you see on some light mechs, and if you have the ability to get into a mech lab and do some extreme, you know, loadout changes, maybe that's something you can do. But again, those aren't in this game yet. As there you can see again, light mechs, even the Jenner, considering one of the more, you know, combat ready light mechs is crippled right now. The AC-10 from the Urbie is just crippled that mech. You can see it can't move around hardly anymore. It's taking a lot of frontal armor damage, and it's nearly gonna be out of the fight. But then again, even though my Commando right there takes a lot of damage, but right now the UrbanMech is my base of fire. The Commando and the Locust over here are there to support the UrbanMech, to try to take, you know, the attention of the AI away from the Urbie as much as possible, and use the Urbie to kill targets at range with the AC-10 before the enemy Urbie gets into the range to use its AC-10. But you will see, I hear either on this turn or the next turn, how that plan kind of goes out the window because of, you know, RNG decided that I was not going to be able to follow through with my plan. But things happen as part of the game. I don't mind that. Here I'm again with the Locust. You can see that it only has a medium laser and 2 machine guns, although the machine guns can be very useful for, you know, sections of a mech that have had their armor stripped away. As you can see, the enemy mech's rear armor is nearly stripped away. It's not going to take very much to get through it, and it is a Locust, and it's just not going to be able to handle too much more punishment. But you can see right there in the back from another Locust, 1 medium laser, 2 machine guns really doesn't do a whole lot of damage to the back armor of the enemy Locust. And the enemy AI is focusing down my Urbie, which I probably should have left a little higher up on the ridge line, but it is where it is right now. At least the frontal armor is facing the majority of the enemy mechs, which is its heavier armor even for a light mech, but the Urbie is exceptionally armored for a light mech. And now with the maneuverability of the Jenner, you can see that I was able to bring it back into the fight and even get into rear shot situations in just 2 rounds because of its movement. Here I'm moving behind the enemy Commando. The enemy Commando has not even taken fire yet. Do 1 alpha strike with the Jenner, and look at that. Both arms are gone. 2 of his 3 weapon systems are gone, and his back armor is nearly out of there. It was almost a 1-shot kill for the Jenner, and basically the enemy's Commando is now also just about out of the fight. As light mechs really aren't going to do a whole lot of damage in the melee combat roles, but versus other mechs they can do, and you will see an example of that a little later on, as the AI is left with the only choice but to do a melee attack on one of my mechs. Here I'm just trying to get good hit percentages on the enemy with my Urbie. You know, I'm trying to get at least into the 85 percentile range, but it's not working out. The Urbie is really not that maneuverable. I can't move it a whole lot, and I want to keep it in the tree line, whether you see the green dots too, so it gets that damage debuff, which, you know, takes less damage from enemy fire. I think it's 50% as long as it's in cover, which is a tree line, and that's what I'm really going for. And of course, when I need to finish off a mech, or at least try to strip away some more of its armor or weapon systems, the AC-10 goes ahead and misses. And what happens with that is now I take an AC-10 ammo crit, and now my Urbie has an AC-10 on its right arm that it can't use because the ammo was destroyed. And of course, these mechs being light mechs, and at this point there are no case systems to protect, you know, the ammo bins, so they're pretty much exposed and can be critted if you penetrate the armor in this game. But they're light mechs, it happens. There are light mechs later on in the timeline for the Mech Warrior, I believe right around the time Omni mechs come into the picture, where you start having the Case 2, the lighter versions, protecting ammo bins and lighter mechs. And there you go, two alpha strikes from the Jenner, and the Commando goes down, and now I'm up 3 mechs to 4, And the Urbie from the enemy AI is just barely getting into range to engage my lance. Although right now my Jenner is line of sight cover from that UrbanMech coming from the north. You would think that the Locust, the enemy Locust, would have been easy to put down in a fairly fast pace, but it took a little bit longer than I expected to kill the Locust, although I probably didn't attack it with the proper mechs to deal damage. But at the same time, the Locust with a single medium laser and 2 machine guns is really not a big threat to any of my mechs other than my Locust. And Locust on Locust, you know, violence is okay with me. I don't mind them fighting together like that, as I just need to get this Jenner down before the enemy Urbie gets here, so that this match is already pretty much in the bag, even though I still have 3 enemy mechs up. Although, you know, the Jenner goes down again and its one leg is destroyed. Pilot takes more damage. As you can see, the Jenner only has its SRM-4 launcher left. All 4 medium lasers have been destroyed. And then you see, here we go with the Locust on Locust violence. And it's pretty funny that they are in that close quarters battle with each other, but pretty much, I mean, if you think about it, that's kind of what would have happened. Although, because of who uses the Locusts in the way they're used, you probably wouldn't see that too much. And right there on this Locust, you can see, I believe those 2 circular sections above its arms are actually the AMS pods. That's what they look like in other games. I'm pretty sure that's what those are, but they are not in this game. And that maybe that's a hint later on that that'll be a capability, which I hope, because it'd be really easy to keep a light mech within range of a heavier mech to provide AMS protection, so that the heavier mech doesn't have to give up a weapon system to mount an AMS. And right there you see that the enemy AI was pretty much left with only the choice to do a melee attack with its Jenner that is pretty much crippled. And you know, that's what it got down to. And pretty much if I had to do the same thing, that's what I would do. And here we see the UrbanMech with its limited range of motion, movement, now only having that small laser that it can't even get in range to use a small laser on the Jenner to try to finish it off. I thought about going back to the Locust to finish it off, but the Jenner is more dangerous in my opinion, so I'm gonna go ahead and use this measly 2 jump jets to move exactly, I believe 1 more hex closer to the Jenner to be able to use its small laser. And of course it misses. Good old RNG, but I don't think the small laser would have finished the Jenner off anyway. I don't remember exactly what damage it does right now. And that's only the second shot that the enemy AI's UrbanMech was able to pull off. It's still way out of the fight right now. I mean, if I wanted to, I could completely disengage it with ease with 3 out of my 4 mechs that are remaining, and just leave my UrbanMech the only thing for that enemy Urbie to shoot at. Here, if I do another alpha strike with my Jenner, I'm gonna go into a shutdown. And this is on a map that doesn't have any water on it. It's a desert environment, and it's also showcasing the limitations of the Jenner only having 10 heat sinks, as heat will become an issue really fast. Right here, I take the SRM-4 off, only use the 4 lasers, but that peaks my heat meter. Overheat warning. I go ahead and take down the enemy Jenner, but now I take internal damage on my Jenner, which I believe was it's single points a couple times. It's really not gonna, I wasn't at risk of losing my Jenner, but now it's basically max heat before it's gonna shut down. And you saw that was from 3 alpha strikes in a row from 3 different, you know, rounds in a row. But it's in a good position now because there's basically only 1 dangerous mech left on the enemy lance, as this Locust right here only has a machine gun and a medium laser left. Its back armor is nearly gone, and it's gonna take a back shot from the Commando's SRM-6 and SRM-4s, and there's no way that enemy Locust were gonna survive that unless I missed every one of those shots would have missed, which I haven't had that happen at all since I've been playing this beta. At least 2 or 3 of those missiles always score hits. So I end up again with the AI in a 1 versus 4, 1 versus 3 scenario. All those 1 versus 4 here. It seems to end that way, and it seems like it's always the mech that has the heavier weapon systems on it. Granted, these are 2 light lances, but the heaviest weapon system in the game on either side was the AC-10 on each of the UrbanMechs, although mine was taken out. The enemy AI's heavy weapon is still in the game, wasn't brought to bear in time to make a difference. But you know, that's just a little bit of tactics play there, as I don't think the AI was gonna just sit back and do what I was gonna do, like, and wait for me to engage it on its terms. Again, I wanted to engage the enemy lance on my terms. I wanted to draw them into my UrbanMech, being supported by 2 mechs with another mech on one flank or the other in a striker position, ready to move in and get back shots onto whatever mech found itself in bad positions. And because my general got damaged a lot up until that point, the Urbie only had 1 target. My general AC-10 hit. I'm actually lucky that the Jenner didn't get completely blown out right there, but it is actually fairly healthy right now, although it lost a leg on that. So right here I'm just trying to get it, you know, into cover a little bit. But again, talking about the tactics of the enemy AI, I don't believe it would have sat back and did what I did. I have an idea that it was going to charge in regardless. I believe that may be something that needs to be looked at also. I don't know, you know, it's hard to say how you program the AI. Does it try to ambush you? Does it try to bushwhack you like that every once in a while based on what kind of mechs and weapon loadouts it has? If it feels that it might be outgunned, or, you know, doesn't have the heavier mechs, maybe it tries to set you up in a way and try to take advantage of that. I don't know if the AI will become that smart. Or maybe right now we're just playing at it at its normal, you know, level. Maybe there'll be a hard or a nightmare, so to speak, level of AI that's extremely tactically sound and proficient. I don't know. It would be nice to see that, because this fight right here could have turned into a cat and mouse game if the AI was like, no, I'm going to use my UrbanMech as a base of fire also. You're going to have to come to me if you want to fight the way I plan on doing it myself. That could have turned into a long game, you know, rounds going in, maybe 15, 20 rounds. I don't know if people really want to play games like that. Me personally wouldn't mind the cat and mouse game if the lances dictated you needed to do that, as opposed to running out, exposing one of your light mechs in a 3v1 situation and basically getting it crippled the first time it gets into a fight. Right then and there in this loadout, that pretty much ended the fight at the very beginning. So if the AI could do that, that'd be nice. If not, you know, that needs to be fixed. Or like I said, we're probably just in the normal AI, you know, tactics level in the beta right now. And now the AI is just doing the only thing it can, and it has to move the UrbanMech up. It has to get in a range of something. Right now it just needs to engage targets to try to do as much as it can. Because you never know. I mean, this UrbanMech may get, you know, a lucky headshot, kill my pilot. I may miss it one whole round, lucky headshot, kill another pilot. I may miss it around, another lucky headshot, kill a pilot. Next thing you know, it's 1v1 versus my Locust. It only has 1 machine gun and its medium laser left. I don't know if I'd win that fight at that point if the AC-10 was still in play on the UrbanMech, because 1 AC-10 hit to the Locust will probably put it out of commission from full health. I imagine it would. But we're not going to find that out here. That's not what happens. Ooh, spoiler alert. He doesn't headshot 3 of my pilots, leave my Locust on a one-on-one fight. So right here, the game is in the game's in the bag. There's nothing spectacular going to happen. It's just all about killing this UrbanMech that's at near full health right here. Armor's pretty much in pristine condition. It's just a matter of time. Again, in the same situation I've been finding myself in. Early on, when I started getting in the beta, when I actually was losing some matches, it was because I really wasn't fully familiar with some of the mechanics of the game, and I was kind of playing it in a way that didn't fit the playstyle of how this game was designed, and then really didn't pay too much attention to the AIs. It was just a BattleTech game. I was like, let me jump into it and let me just see what I can do, and that wasn't turning out too good. As soon as you start trying to do even a little bit of halfway good tactical choices, it just flipped the script completely, and the AI is really easy to deal with. There you see the Locust with its range of motion goes all the way around that rock cropping in the center and get to the back of the UrbanMech. Problem is, Locust only has a machine gun and a medium laser. It's not going to do a whole lot of damage even to the Urbie. And I'm just trying to make sure that I don't lose my mechs. I would like to finish a game with all 4 of my mechs alive, which I've only managed to do a handful of times, because the AI tends to focus that one crippled mech toward the end of the match and just chase it all over the map if it can. Although here, the UrbanMech doesn't have that ability to chase anything all over the map. Again, having to use the jump jets, both of them, to use this massive jump distance, shortest in the game, to get that puny little medium laser into the fight that does 20 damage actually. But like I said, if I could have gotten a melee range, I'd have ran in there and headbutted them instead. But that enemy Urbie is still dangerous because it has its AC-10 in the game still. The AC-10 still in the fight, although right there it missed. But my Urbie came in on a jump and it had a targeting debuff at that point. So just surrounding the enemy mech. So talking about the AI in general, needs to be improved. Hopefully this is just the normal version. I've actually put that into the surveys that you get after the matches. I've typed that in a few times, made some comments about it, and I've noticed in the forums there's stuff talk about it too. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that notices this, as there's been people playing this game a lot longer than I have, dealing with it a lot longer than I have. There you can see my Jenner with its one leg limping around. You know, at one point it had the best range of motion available. Now it has its worst in the Urbie, which is funny because the Urbie barely moves. But I actually think the UrbanMech looks kind of cool. I like the way it looks. I think it's a cool looking mech. Its range of motion is so short, and a lot of people don't like the UrbanMech and the Urbie. It's not even a full-fledged combat type mech or even a scout mech. Its intentions were like police usage and crowd control and whatnot, and really was not meant to be in open country battling even other light mechs. That's not what it was made for. I think it'd be really cool to see an urban map in this game. I would like to have to fight in a city dealing with line of sight issues all over the place, so bad that even maybe LRMs gets to the point where they're borderline useless in certain situations. You know, having to, maybe if you can't get up on top of a building with jump jets and you're in a mech that can only move on the ground, then you're kind of stuck going down streets and maybe getting caught in corridors where if you turn around to engage a mech in one direction, you're exposing your back to mechs in the other direction. And you know, that could be the great equalizer for smaller, lighter armored mechs versus other heavier mechs. I think that would be really fun. I have a good idea that we will see some urban maps in this game. It's a staple of the BattleTech Mech Warrior games. You've always had urban combat environments, some of them better than others. I'm pretty sure we're going to find those in here in mechs like the Urbie that are designed for that. There's a few others out there that are not in this game yet, but mechs are specifically designed to fight in those urban environments. I believe you will see be very fun and very useful in those types of maps, especially when the PvP gets introduced and you start going, you know, player versus player, because you know, the AI is one thing. Dealing with the real person is a complete different monster. You never know what they're going to do. They're going to try to pull out every trick in the book, and if they understand the mechs, they're going to be trying to use them in ways that will take advantage of their strengths and try to hide their weaknesses. This match was pretty fun though, even though it was light mechs, and you know, it's always fun to have, you know, assault mechs slugging it out, one shot in smaller mechs with, you know, AC-20s, PPCs, LRM-15 racks going all over the place. But it is fun to get down and dirty with the smaller mechs and have to engage targets 3, 4, 5 times to put them out of the match. I actually enjoy stuff like that. I don't mind the longer gameplay matches. To me, it's fun to have to draw it out to really get the most out of your mechs, especially when they're damaged, when you're having to deal with heat issues, when they're missing weapon systems, when they're crippled because they're missing legs and they can't move around that good. I enjoy it. I have fun with it. I'm sure there's other people out there that do it too. And as far as these 4 mechs are concerned in this game, I believe they're all pretty much spot on par with what they should be, and I don't really have a problem with how any of them performed. Other than that, I would like to see some additional models or versions of them later in the future.